Welcome to turning a moment into a movement.
This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, this little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. Oh Lord, just let it shine. This light of mine, this light of mine. Oh Lord, would you please just let it shine. Take the drama out of my life. Oh Lord, every night, the pain ain't right. I wake up at night, I never sleep. 26, 10, and 7, that's just me. Every day I need a little seed. I need a little fresh air, man, I need to breathe. All I know is trauma, all I know is tickets. All I know is no visit, all I know is a mission to get straight up out of prison. Lord have mercy for me. Lord have mercy on my people. Preacher Mary Washington and all my real. Lord have mercy with my people. I pray to God, we really need you. When I was down bad, when things weren't going right, every time I prayed at night, I put my hands up in my face. I said, Lord have mercy, little light of mine. Lord God, please let it shine. It's the drama that I live in my life. I swear to God, I was a bad guy every night. 10 toes down, salute. Everybody suffering, everybody who trying to make a way. Everybody looking for the sky, everybody looking for that piece of pie. In a law library, I know what that feel like. Hoping that somebody get active and involved in your situation. Man, pop your collar and pray. Cause Lord have mercy on my soul. And they make bad guy father get out soon. And the rest of those brothers who be mobbing to child each morning. Oh man, I ain't going to this afternoon. Man, I'ma miss dinner today. I got a couple noodles. You know what that feel like? and you know what it is. And if you a victim of a wrongful conviction, suffered and served by Ken Worthy, then I know that you know what that pain feel like. And your mama know what that pain feel like. Your father know what that pain feel like. With that light, let that little shine. Let that light shine a little light of mine, huh? Bad guy, Doughboy Week, all these great people in this great world of ours. 10 toes down, salute. I appreciate you, bad guy. I appreciate you, we. I appreciate the tech. I appreciate everybody in the studio. We gonna pop off that LV, ooh-wee, cause that's what they be liking to see. But I hope you hear the missing when you see me fresh. Ooh. Salute.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight on Turning a Moment into a Movement. I am J Love, and I represent the Justice for Gerard movement. And Gerard is my son who was wrongfully convicted of a crime he didn't do, innocent, and he went to prison for that crime. And because of that journey with Gerard and all the people that I met on that journey, I created this platform called Turning a Moment into a Movement. When we come here every Friday, we talk about wrongful convictions and injustice. And so thank you for joining us tonight. I wanted to tell you our mission statement is to bring awareness to all that are impacted by being wrongly convicted, over sentenced, mentally ill, and medically frail in our community. To inspire, organize, and educate all communities about the needs to disrupt systems, policies, and patterns of the criminal legal system that leads to wrongful convictions. That's why we're here every Friday. So thank you for joining us. Our song that we played in the intro is by Larry, who is one of our guests tonight, and he'll be on soon. So yeah, thank you for joining us. So we're going to move right on. I'm going to introduce you to the panel, and then we're going to bring on our guests, and we're going to talk about probable cause tonight. So first of all, greetings, Trisha.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing, Jay?
Hey, Trisha, how are you?
I'm blessed. I'm gonna leave it at that. It's a bunch of stuff I could say, but in spite of all that stuff that I could say, I'm still blessed and I'm grateful to be here tonight.
Yes. So every night we give an update about Crystal. And for those of you who don't know about Crystal, Crystal is a young lady that we met and that we've been advocating for. Got her t-shirts on. She's in Huron Valley Prison in Michigan. And Huron Valley is full of mold, black mold. And Crystal has been suffering from that black mold. As a matter of fact, she's allergic to the black mold. And as we see, she has mold growing out of her ears. And so we have a call to action. And we have a video tonight as well from Crystal, a message from Crystal of what's going on in there. But we're just asking everyone to join us on the call to action. You have the power to save a life. We need Crystal released so she can get adequate health care. This is Crystal before and Crystal after. Her face looks as if she had a stroke. And so we're just asking everyone to join us as we work on Free Crystal campaign here on Turning the Moment into a Movement. It's just so much going on in Huron Valley. And as since we've been advocating for Crystal, so many other people have been reaching out with stories regarding about their loved one inside Huron Valley. So we're just asking everyone to, and you'll hear more about Crystal as we go on tonight. So we're going to bring in our next panelist. Hey, Leslie.
You would think I'd be unmuted. Good to see you both.
I would agree. I'm blessed to be here. Um, yeah, so I'm just
Introduce
blessed to
yourself,
be here.
Leslie.
Huh?
You introduce
Oh, introduce
yourself.
myself. So I'm Leslie, and I am a business owner. Let's Go social media marketing and training, and I've been doing that for a long time. Um, and but at the same time, about 10 years ago, I became a family spokesperson for my great grand uncle who was killed in the line of duty in 1940 Tennessee. He was the first voting rights activist to be killed. And so I created a division a couple years ago after a dream called the Albert Williams Voting Corner. And so now it's really hard to do regular stuff. Like all I want to do is do justice movements and help educate our people. And I'm learning along the way. Today, I'm excited to learn about the legal path. I know. I remember being a small child and having a cousin that I knew wasn't, I don't know how to say it the right way, but he wasn't fully functioning, and he was accused of a crime, and the only person that they had as a witness was a 90 something year old woman that saw him in the darkness out her window. And they used that to give him 19 years. And so I've seen it, but I've been in the, as they say, in the sanctuary with all this crazy stuff happening. But a few years ago, it came closer. I was front row with my own son who ended up in the system and is an inmate at MDOC. And I would have never dreamt that he would go through conviction, let alone like go to prison. And here we are. So anyway, so I'm close to I have skin in the game. I would love to see a day where um, I think Marcus would talk to this more, that we don't have slavery in Michigan, because we do. Not every state has slavery, but Michigan does have slavery, and that if we start from that point, everything else is just goes downhill from there.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that as well. The the system here in Michigan. You know what, Leslie, I knew that we had some issues in Michigan, but as I did more and more into it, as we've been fighting for Crystal, I mean, I thought I knew stuff when I was fighting for my own son, but this women's prison, this stuff is insane. So
And it's
yeah,
women on women. A
yeah,
lot of our we have a female governor, a female director of MDOC, a female attorney general. I'm like, where's the feminism?
exactly. I know that's right, Trisha. I'm just saying. So, yes. Well, thank you, and Leslie, for joining us. Um, we're gonna get started. I see Attorney Pam is here, and so we're gonna get started. I'm sure Larry gonna be popping in shortly, and so without any further ado, who is not, she is not, what I want to say, new to the platform. She's been here a few times, so I'm so glad that she's back with us tonight. Attorney Pamela Rice, Esquire.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, J Love, and hello to everyone on the panel. I'm just,
Yeah.
I told you to, got to tell me what I'm here for. You know what I'm saying? What you want me to talk about?
I know that's right. Well, tonight, we're talking about probable cause.
Yeah,
We
and I
had
have
mutual.
to shout out all of I have my YouTube channel and I did post it. So all of you guys in the chat, shout out to the intellects. That's the skills that you guys see over there in the chat. Coming to
Yeah,
support the platform. Make sure you guys hit the like button. You guys know you have to have etiquette on the platform.
Yes. Thank you. And thank you for everybody who joining us tonight. Those who's watching on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Thank you guys. We really appreciate you. Attorney Pam, Trisha and I had this conversation with Larry.
Mhm.
What day was that, Trisha? Saturday?
Saturday, yes, Saturday or Sunday.
Yes. And we were talking about probable cause.
Okay.
And I said, Larry, we need to have a whole conversation on that. We're going to have to get Attorney Pam on here and just really dig into it. And so for probable cause, I want to play a couple of videos that I have just to give us a little glimpse into probable cause before we get started.
What is probable cause? Probable cause is a legal standard that gives law enforcement the authority to search, seize, or arrest someone. It's a reasonable belief that a crime has been committed or that a specific person is responsible for that crime. Now, what does probable cause itself mean? Probable cause is more than a suspicion, but less than the certainty required for a conviction. It's based on facts and circumstances that would lead a reasonable person to believe that a crime has been committed. It can be based on evidence that isn't legally admissible in criminal court. Well, then what type of evidence can establish probable cause? Well, things like witness statements, physical evidence, photos of injuries, text messages or emails, 911 calls, or even doctor's reports. All of these can be used to establish probable cause.
As a prosecutor, all it takes is probable cause. That's all it takes for a complaint. If there's probable cause, then the complaint can issue. And how do you get probable cause? Well, you can convene a grand jury and you put 12 people in a room and you put evidence before them. Now, there's a lot of issues with the grand jury system. It's one-sided, as you know. You don't even get a chance to put in any evidence. But let's say, for the sake of argument, probable cause is established. Or, on some minor offenses, you can also establish probable cause by a police report. An officer, under oath and the penalties of perjury, signs a police report, a complaint, that you committed these crimes in this jurisdiction. And that's all it takes for a criminal complaint to issue. That's all it takes for your ass to be brought into a courthouse and arraigned. As crazy as that sounds, the word of one person, as crazy as that sounds, one person's word can put you in court and put you on the offensive where you're fighting for your life. So now you got to have a good defense attorney to make sure that you're putting forth the evidence or the lack of evidence to a jury or to a judge while that case should be dismissed, or that there's not enough evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Attorney, what is probable cause?
And so probable cause is it's pretty much the lowest standard aside from reasonable suspicion. And it's exactly what they said in the video. It's basically a crime was committed. They say that a crime was committed and you did it. So when you have your preliminary examination, which is typically how in the state court in Michigan, how we proceed with the felony cases. If you are accused of a felony, you have your preliminary examination. And that's why you have instances of which we're aware of, like the snitch ring, you know, what happened with Larry Smith, where you can just have someone get on the stand and say, oh yeah, he told me that he did A, B, C, D, and E, for purposes of binding you over to the felony court, because you start out in the district court here. But it's just a suspicion, like what they said. They can get a warrant if somebody comes to them and said, he hit me. They do a statement, it's probable cause. Of course, the bar gets higher as you proceed in litigation. It gets higher to beyond a reasonable doubt, which is actually the highest standard in our system, in our judicial system. But yeah, from the federal standpoint, I know they mentioned the grand jury. Typically for grand jury purposes, even though they can do it by a criminal complaint as well, they use the impanel a grand jury. And, it used to be this running joke that you can indict a ham sandwich because that's about how easy it is for it to pass muster for you, for probable cause. And then you do need an attorney that is going to fight tooth and nail and preserve evidence. And, if you have an alibi, to go get video recordings. There are recordings. Now it's a bit more, I'm not going to say easier, but you have more to work with because there are cameras in the light poles. There are cameras everywhere. There are cameras at stores. And so because of that, if you get a criminal defense attorney that gets on it off in the beginning, then you have more of a chance. The problem that we have for those of us that do wrongful convictions is you're talking about people like with Larry Smith, who's done 20 something years. So you don't have that. You're really trying to, what I do is with the cases that I have, is you're trying to go back to 2007. I have a case from 96. And you're trying to go back and hope people are still alive. And if people want to recant, or, it's such a low bar that you can get caught up in the system without much. So if you don't fight the fight, then you can definitely be caught up. I've had a couple of, I don't do as much like just criminal defense from the beginning now, the trial court. I don't do too much of that. I do more of post-conviction. If people are innocent, they come and they say they're innocent, and I try to get the new evidence or whatever, try to see what went wrong in the trial court. Oftentimes it is an ineffective assistance of counsel, if I were to be honest. I think a lot of the individuals, they have court-appointed attorneys, they're overwhelmed, they don't have the resources the state has, and then they're not putting in the work. Because it's just a lot of cases I just look at and I'm like, why wouldn't you just do A, B, C, D, and E? Seems like what you would do for your client. But I think because, and it's not necessarily, like I said, because they just want to be this bogus attorney, but there's so many cases that they have and they just can't put the time into each case. And I think that's crucial when you have such a low bar that can get you caught in a system that it's hard. It's easy to get into and it's harder to get out. Mm-hmm. So they make it very, very difficult for you to fit the prongs that you need to prove that they were wrongfully convicted. It's very, very hard, even though, like, I have clients that have taken lie detector tests and they've passed. That means nothing unless you find the information that you need to try to get them out. So easy to get in, probable cause, easy to get in the system, but once you get in, it's very difficult to get out.
Yeah, oh my goodness. It makes me think about on the Beasley case, how one person's word, really, a jury hung on that, and then officers hung on that, which it was a coerced thing, right? I seen the officer in there that said that they're allowed to lie. It's the Reed technique. The Reed technique means that they can lie, they can do whatever they want in the midst of investigation, just to get whatever it is that they want to get from the person that's in there. And that's exactly what they did. And the young lady's word, when she tried to come back to recant, it wasn't good enough. So it was good enough with the probable cause. No phone records. No, yeah. She said she called him on the phone. There were no phone records. Why you don't have no phone records? But none of this stuff. It goes back to what you said, ineffective counsel. Because why did their lawyer let something like that pass? If she said she talked to him, told him to come over and get some weed, and there was no call, why wasn't that expounded upon in the trial? So it's like all of these things, like you said, can walk you through that front door of the system, but they can be that same thing to trap you in the midst of the system, especially if you do not have a good attorney.
Yeah, and recantations that you mentioned, when people come back and they say, hey, I felt pressure by the police, or whatever their rationale is, those are scrutinized. Like our case law, they don't want to believe recantations. So even if someone comes back, they feel like there's so many different reasons. Oh, they were friends. Oh, they felt bad after years. Oh, they really go through that with a fine-tooth comb, where you have to have more than that a lot of the times. So that's why I said it's easy to get in, like you said, because they'll take your word. Like in the case of Larry Smith, in the civil case that we had done, it was like, so the guy who was a part of testifying against him, he was almost your star witness, but now you're basically fighting us in civil court, saying we can't believe nothing he says. He's all over the place. But he was when he said that he was coerced to testifying, you know what I'm saying? That's what he's saying now, that listen, I was in trouble. They told me they needed me to testify against him. That's what I did. I made it all up. Now he's all over the place for purposes of the federal court. But he was good enough back then to try to put this man in prison for the rest of his life. It just shows you how screwed up just how the system is. And also, I don't know if you guys know, I'm sure you may have heard by now, I have a client where we learned that Detroit Police Department specifically, they kept miscellaneous files. So what they did with the miscellaneous files, if they got exculpatory evidence or evidence that was favorable to your client, they will put it off in a file. Because in their mind, if we don't put it in the main file, we don't have to turn it over to the prosecutor. So then the prosecutor doesn't have to turn it over to the defense attorney. So literally they had whole files, or they shredded it if it was information that was favorable to your client, such as somebody else said it was another witness. Somebody said it was a woman, it wasn't a man. And so now we're finding these miscellaneous files that have just appeared. And I remember that being argued in the Court of Appeals maybe 6 months ago on one of my clients. And the justices were just like flabbergasted. Like, how do you just, as the prosecutor, fight this? And it's a whole file full of things that was favorable to this client. Like, how do you even do that? Last week, I was at an event and Justice Bernstein said it. He was like, listen, I'm going to be honest. I feel like wrongful convictions is probably the most sinful thing ever, that somebody sits in jail for decades for something they don't do. But they're like, well, what do we do about it? Because the way our laws are, you know, like the way the case law is, we can only do as much as comes up to us at the Supreme Court, or as much as comes up to the Court of Appeals. But sometimes we just don't get that far because people don't have the finances to do it. That's one of the reasons why, you know, a lot of us do it for free. If we were to be, or low bono, we're barely getting paid. This is not an area that attorneys are running to. You really have to have almost a call for it, because it's not, they don't have money. That's why a lot of people, it's estimated a large percentage are wrongfully convicted. Like, say it's 10% out of the United States, which is way too high. It's an estimate that they are wrongfully convicted in prison. Mm-hmm. So they don't have the fine. Some people don't even have family. You've watched your family pass away while you're in prison for something you didn't do. And so now you got to get people that are willing to basically sacrifice and say, okay, we all have a purpose on this earth. This is what I tell myself. Everyone has people that are supposed to be kind of what you are purposed to be and to help. And so those are the people I'm purposed to help. But you can't help everybody. And then you feel bad because you get people and you're like, listen, I got 30 cases and I don't have the resources for it. So yeah, it's just a repetitive cycle, and it actually keeps you up at night. Now, this is the area that'll keep you up at night, trying to wanting to fight to get, when you know that your client is in there and did not do it. Or I go to the prisons at least every single month to see my client and to know I walk out, but you got to go back and you didn't do anything. And you went in at 18 and 19 years old and now you're 40.
That's true. I mean, someone just left prison, been in there last week, 52 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he didn't get out. He wasn't exonerated. They just made a deal, and I think he was a juvenile lifer. And so they sentenced him or whatever. But can you imagine 52 years? His family been fighting for him for 52 years. For him to come out and still not really get any justice.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Leslie.
Oh, no, I just had a question. You asked about, or you mentioned laws. How does, I know a lot of troublemakers, good troublemakers, are have been putting a lot of effort behind the second look legislation, which didn't make the moves that it was supposed to last year and the year the previous cycle. How would that help with wrongful conviction? So I'm still a little bit um, confused because it's been watered down every time it goes through the Senate and all that. It gets watered down so much. Would that help with the cases that you're seeing?
Yeah, they've changed it. I don't. I would have to read the latest, like the latest, because they had a lot of changes from when
Right.
it first got submitted, and I can't say that I read the latest version that they're trying to pass. So I would have to look at that first before I had the answer to that. But I
Okay.
think a lot of this, though, what they do need to do is expand our court rules on giving us more abilities for discovery purposes to be able to reinvestigate. Because a lot of people don't know, unless we're literally in the throes of litigation, we don't have subpoena power. So we have to do FOIA, freedom of information, like everybody else, and it's redacted like everybody else. So I think it does need to be expanded. And I'm not saying like I understand the court's position. Like I had a court of appeals justice tell me, well, Pam, we have to have some finality. And I understand that, but it needs to be a balance where if we come with enough evidence, we shouldn't have to go through as many hoops that we have to go through. So I think a lot of that has to do with a legislative thing as opposed to making it all case law. Because a lot of the stuff we have is just case law. People that have been able to go to the Court of Appeals and then go to the Supreme Court. But we need like we do need legislatures, so, but it may, like I said, start with the 6,500 rules, with the court rules that give us a bit more leeway to get in the courts and to have evidentiary hearings instead of judges just saying, we don't think that person is credible. I mean, I've had that happen. It's like, so we're just not going to have a hearing. You're not even going to listen to them. And we do get a lot of judges on the benches in the trial court who I call them prosecutors in robes. They used to be prosecutors. And so you're basically coming at what a prosecutor did. And so they really want to not look in your favor when it comes to it. And I think that's an issue as well. But, that's, people need to vote. But that's another.
They need to vote and challenge elected officials. I mean, we just learned some disturbing information the other day about MDOC, that the reason why MDOC does what they want to do is because of legislation. There's no legislation in place to hold them accountable. And if you don't have these laws in place, I'm saying all that to say we got to vote, yes, but then we have to hold our elected officials accountable to what our needs are. We don't have to wait for them to introduce legislation. We can write legislation ourselves and then introduce it to them to go and take and find a sponsor. But we can even take it a step further. We can go and get signatures and get it on the ballot ourselves as a people. We really got to wake up and start taking this stuff into our own hands. Nobody's coming to save us. Nobody, clearly, right? And so we've got to take the initiative ourselves to make sure that we can get some legislation introduced, especially when it comes to wrongful conviction.
Yeah.
Larry Darnell Smith, hello.
Hey, now I hope that this come in well. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent quite some time trying to get this Apple thing to work, and it wouldn't pick up the streamline for some reason. What they call it, laptop. Because y'all gave me rules, and I even tried to follow the rules, and my trusty phone still came through. So, thank you guys for having me. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Introduce yourself, Larry.
My name is Larry Darnell Smith, Jr. I spent 26 years, 10 months, and 7 days in the Michigan Department of Corrections for a crime I didn't commit. I advocate on behalf of the innocent, the medically frail, the oversins, and here in Michigan and other states as well. I do other stuff as well, but I don't know. I got an entertainment company, and we use our music to get the word out about innocent people, medically frail people, oversins people. I actually got a couple puppies right here, and they just going nuts. So, yeah. But that's what I do for the most part. I support great women and great men in this country who support their loved ones and they fight to regain their freedom. That's what I do.
Yay, thank
I
you
love
very
your
much.
song.
Mhm.
Play it every week.
Well, thank you so much. You like the song? Thank you. Thank you.
Hmm.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. We do it. I like to at least try to put a little light in everybody's life that we encounter, and just try not to leave nobody on the side of the curb just feeling downtrodden.
Yes, we were just talking about you and our conversation that me and you and Trisha were having Saturday about probable cause.
The okay, so probable cause exist on some level, right? But I think we talking about the hellacious. It's a word that we can use. Hellacious lie. That's a better way. Somebody came out with a hellacious lie, and they told so many people, families, and so many people in prison that it was a rule that was going into play that was going to free like 20,000 people. And the people, they just believe it so much that they spent a lot of their own energy, their family members' energy, their finances, their resources, looking for something that just really wasn't for the culture of the prisoners. It was nothing to benefit the prisoners. And a guy, I don't know if it's defamation if you say the person by name or whatever the case might be, but that person, he just led all these people down the wrong path. Y'all stop it. Led a bunch of people to believe that they would be getting out of prison soon, to the point where people were calling me and they were telling me, and they had given their televisions away and their personal items away, believing that a law that our local government had how can I say it, Ms. Pam? Our local government had missed a step in the procedure to free people. And
So, so what he's referring to is the probable cause conference. So prior to you having the probable cause, the preliminary examination, in order to determine probable cause, there is a rule within 7 to 14 days, you're supposed to have a probable cause conference. And what that is just a pretrial. So perhaps you may talk deals with the prosecution. You kind of see where we're going with this. It's just kind of like a meet and confer. When I was doing criminal defense over 10 years ago, where that's primarily part of what I did, we didn't even really have it at all. So I don't know if I know that it started being like a implementation and almost mandatory that they did it a few years after I stopped doing that. So what happened is there's a person that's in prison that he files a lot of lawsuits. He filed one against Sean Diddy Combs too. And so he came up with this, I guess, where he sued for the probable cause conference, or saying that if you didn't have it, then they have to let you go. It was something where they were told that and I know that it was told because Larry called me about it. And then I went to go see a client and he was like, Pam, do you have any information on the probable cause conference and all the people that's about to get let go? And I'm like, what are you even talking about? So then that's what made me look it up. And he did sue and it was dismissed, I believe. And he may have sued a couple of times, but apparently there were people that were led to believe that if they didn't have this, I guess in their case, if they didn't hold this conference, then that was an error warranting reversal. So like everybody was going to get out. So a lot of people, what happens is when you're in prison, of course, you're holding on to any high hope that you can get out. And so a lot of people held on to this, and they were calling, I know they were calling Larry a lot because he was calling me about it. And then, like what I said, when I went to visit somebody, they mentioned it. And that's what made me even look into it. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And that was about a year ago. And I looked it up and I was like, oh, okay, that's really what you get. And that's another thing the courts deal with. And I have talked to a trial judge that they deal with is you do get people that are serial filers that make up stuff, don't really necessarily have real claims, and they don't know how to cipher through what's real, what's, you got a real claim, you don't have a real claim. And I think sometimes they overlook the good claims, just pushing it to the side with some of the bad claims. And so this was an issue that came up that apparently I didn't know how big it was. Larry knows more than I do. I just know I told my client, like, that's not nothing we're going to be focusing on at all. But apparently it was a big thing, and it just apparently it wasn't it like some other person that was in prison that like got on with it with this guy?
Quite a few people. Is what it is done. It's spiral, like it's the spiral to the regard that people, family members are angry. I mean, I had people upset with me when I said, like, I don't have any adequate information that I could give you where this is truthful. Y'all asked me to go down to hearings. The hearings wasn't taking place. They telling y'all these things are secret, being done in secret. I'm telling you guys that from researching the record, talking with attorneys and things of such, and it's like spiraled out of control. I at least had 500 people contact me concerning this. And it's people, family members that believe in where they didn't put their money up to back this atrocity, the lie. It's just so I just want people to know, the people in society, that if your family member contact you, let them know that it's just not true, the probable cause in regards to how they believe they're going to get their freedom. 20,000 people. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't want to people chasing their tails like a puppy neither. It ain't looking good because it don't exist.
I think that also came up even with Crystal. Me and Leslie was talking about that earlier, that one of the advocates were saying that there was going to be a hearing on the probable cause, and they did all this stuff, and something backfired up in Grand Rapids, whatever happened, and the lawyer wasn't responding to anybody about, whatever was going on with the it was actual hearing that was scheduled in Grand Rapids about it. I think, wasn't it February or something, Leslie?
Yeah, February 20th. They ended up having a hearing, but they had already talked before the hearing, so they knew it wasn't going nowhere. But Crystal was still thinking it was going to go somewhere, so she sat and waited, and they never came and got her from the cell. She had to wait.
This was for the probable cause conference, because it's been a couple of dismissals on the same issue. So there was actually a case that kind of was still progressing through.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
She apparently never had her first probable cause. I think that was how it was told to me. Something happened. She didn't have whatever she was supposed to have back when. She never had it. And so that's what we had reached out. We reached out to Kim Worthy first, because Kim Worthy has the ability to look at it again too, and to change that sentence. Anyhow.
Yeah, I guess I guess I'm just not understanding like what could be, because the probable cause conference is nothing but like a pretrial. It's like and you can waive it. Like, it's just not even. It's kind of like conferring. Now, she just didn't have a preliminary examination and she didn't want to waive it or something, and they never determined probable cause. That would obviously be an issue, but I don't know exactly what her issue. So she had her own personal case that she did.
Yeah.
Related to the probable cause. See, I didn't know anything about a case with her. I just know about this other guy that did it, and there were some other inmates that went along with him, and I think it got dismissed or something. But
yeah,
so
it's all really messy. Yeah.
It was a big deal because everybody was talking about it, and it did get out of hand, I think.
So do we know anybody?
Or was it federal court?
No, I don't think it was federal court.
Do we know anyone who actually have been released. Any of you guys, any professionals, anybody who out there have been released based on what's the name of the hearing again, Miss Pam?
It's not a hearing. It's just a conference. It's a probable cause conference.
So if there's anybody out there who got credible information that they can share with us so that we can share with those people incarcerated, please give it to us, because we've been looking high and low for it. If this exists and if 20,000 people can go free, you best believe we want to bring that to the forefront. And if not, we want to dispel the rumor.
Right.
Because it's impeding with the process of people regaining their freedom.
Yeah.
Are you talking about and I'm sorry I came late. How everybody doing? What up, though, Larry, man? My baby. I remember we were stomping the yard together, fighting our case.
We did that together. That's true.
Man,
it's factual.
love you,
That's
brother.
a fact.
So we said probable cause. I heard conference versus probable cause hearing. Is it two separate probable cause spaces?
So the conference is what you have where you kind of have a discussion. You may do plea deals. You know, you talk to, it's like the first meeting confer you have with the prosecutors. Then you also have your preliminary examination, which some call a probable cause hearing, where they actually have to prove that there is probable cause to bind you over if there's a, felony charge.
Yeah. And also let me say that there was a person, an advocate, that was handling things at that time through this whole process, who gave pieces of information, but not all of the information, and now has distanced herself from the movement and left those gaps. So some things we're piecing together.
Okay. Yeah, I would be curious to know, because I know it hasn't, and what the basis would be, because a lot of times from procedural matters, they don't really view that as something, and it's just to say we just gonna let you free on it, and it's 20,000 people. I just don't even see that. It'd be nice.
How did I miss it, Ken?
All of them don't need to go, but some of them probably do.
I
know.
All right. I got one for y'all since we at it. Tamara Washington. I heard y'all talking about the FOIA for the files. The thing is, the files, all these missing files. If they was files that was destroyed prior to, files that was destroyed after of, files that's just missing, right? What is the remedy and what is the safeguard for innocent people or inside of institutions when the files and things as such come up missing? Like who got that safeguard or information that we can share with the people? And if it's not something that's been put in place, how do we go about putting something in place to make up for how many thousands of files, Miss Pam?
All files before 95, if you were convicted in 95, and then you get some after that, just that end up being missing. But I know prior to that, there were a lot of files that were destroyed, and I have people that have done. Obviously, when we were in litigation, everybody kind of pointed the finger at who did what when everybody blamed each other's administration. Nobody's taking accountability for the files being missing. So, but I have documents of when some inmates asked for their files in 2000, and before they knew that it was going to become an issue, they actually acknowledged that under the Duggan administration, those files were destroyed. We haven't been able to get Duggan, of course, under oath, and he's running for governor right now, but we haven't been able to get any. Of course, he doesn't know anything, but I don't know, Larry. That's one of our fights that we have, where we were trying to figure out and hold their feet to the fire. Larry is out here fighting every part of his case. We were just in. Where were we at, Larry? Ohio.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
We were just in Ohio fighting absolute immunity. Larry's case, he has been out here really trying to utilize his case and prolong whatever to try to change the laws through his case. He has been trying to do that in every corner. We've been trying to get whatever testimony we can get and, go appeal. We don't take no
Free
for an
somebody.
answer. We appealing. Like what appeal?
Yeah, we don't plan. They think that they can delay and they think they can deny these type of tactics. But in reality, we rolling with righteousness. And the truth that we standing on is not only the liberty that, as we just say, justice that freed me, it's a key that's going to unlock to free other people like me.
Mm-hmm.
So we ain't letting up off of you. We're not going to let up off of them. But I asked about these files because the real relevancy is we understand what they did to me in destruction of files. But Kim Worthy spoke to Tamara Washington directly on the telephone, and people don't even understand the significance because people pray for that. That's a prayer that I pray for myself. So to take part in the deliverance of putting somebody actually on the telephone with the head Wayne County prosecutor and to hear that person make promises to the young lady concerning her file and that it couldn't be missing. And if it was missing, what they would do. And like I say, so I posed the question about remedies in that manner, because you got one person running for the governor who's responsible for innocent people being in prison, who is the current mayor of Detroit, Mike Dugan. And then you got another person who's responsible for innocent people still being in prison by the name of Eli Savage. See, it's not a game. These is real life. People, family, the VC brothers, they being affected. And these people playing politics. So if you want to run a state, very first thing you got to do is you got to pick your big boy pants up and admit where wrong has took place. And then make that unfold. And then you free them people. And then you start talking about our office. Mike Dugan, man, bruh, what do you mean? You allowed them to destroy files. You need to be coming up with a remedy, talking with the head Wayne County prosecutor, with them police, and figuring out how y'all gonna let the people go and not using the excuse of money.
Right.
It's just one of them things, right? Make the mama suffer, make the children suffer, make the citizens suffer. This seems like one of them things.
Yeah, and the reason I was asking because I remember before I actually started studying the law myself, I figured you just throw your attorney some money and they gonna just represent you. They got your best interest at heart. I remember my attorney, you know what I'm saying, he was running for judge that year, and when I called my doe case going through court, I thought they were saying dates that they supposedly had got drugs from me, and I'm telling my attorney, I was in Ohio around that time. I don't, you know what I mean? So I'm like, well, they said that the informant had 20. What he said? They said 20 drug buys with 5 busts, and that the cop who actually fired now for lying and other search warrants, that he got a bachelor's degree in criminology. So I'm like, man, I said, my lawyer, I want to have a Franks hearing. Like, I want to have a Franks hearing. That motherfucker lied. Excuse my language, y'all. He lied in his affidavit. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't even in Michigan on this day, and I can prove it. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm sitting in a jail waiting on a Franks hearing. And he said he put it in. I even got the paper back that he filed it. So I'm like, okay, I had a Franks hearing. I'm going home. So almost a year go by, and they say, I know, I look up and I'm going to trial. So I asked them, like, so what happened to the Franks hearing? And it's like, well, they denied it. So it wasn't until I was sitting in prison and I started going to, now mind you, he got fired after I went to prison. He was under investigation while I was going to trial. He was the only person that testified on me. Everybody else, they let go except me. So I didn't find out he got fired until I just happened to be in the day room and my case just came up on the news. So I'm like, wow. So I called my attorney back again, like, man, so whatever. So what? You know what I'm saying? Can you send me the documents to show that they denied my Franks hearing? Because I got all my paperwork, but nothing shows a denial of the Franks hearing. And he wouldn't give it to me. So I ended up writing the courts and getting it. And I found out that he went behind my back and cut a deal with the prosecutor and for them to dismiss 2 minor cases, 2 under 50 cases, in exchange for rescinding my motion for a Franks hearing. he never consulted with me with that. He never, you know what I'm saying? I never even knew anything about it until I finally got the document from the court. So then when I started my ineffective assistance of counsel claim, that was one of my claims. Like, well, this guy acting on my behalf without even consulting me. I didn't even know he rescinded it. I would never have done that. And they said that because he was my attorney, if he agreed to it, it was just like me doing it. And that boxed me into prison right there. In which I eventually got my conviction overturned years later. It was like 6 months before I went home. But that right there, mind you, the cop that got fired for lying another search warrant. He got sued, and then my case came up in everybody lawsuit. In Marcus Kelly case, did you say that you got these controlled buys from this guy? Did you say he had a bachelor's of criminology? He said, I never said that. So I tried to use that. And they disregarded all those things, even those statements, but they still they wind up overturning it later. And I'm still waiting to be exonerated. But I was just, when we thinking about probable cause and challenging those things, like challenging the affidavits, you know what I'm saying, for search via Franks versus Delaware. And then your attorney say, okay, well, fuck it. We just, we gonna rescind this and you drop this. You know what I mean? And it's like, how do you get justice for that? You know what I mean? Because you can't undo that because he done that on your behalf, and it's like you doing it. If y'all follow me, because I never really understood how he was able to get away with that, and the court was allowing him to get away with that, even though they got an affidavit from me myself saying I never told him to do that, and I'm just now finding out about that today. 4 years later, while I'm in prison, because he never gave me the documents. He gave me everything else but that.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to say no.
So this is what I'm talking about right here. Shout out to Attorney Pam. You are one of not that many, right, lawyers that have integrity and that fight hard for your clients. You know, these lawyers, a lot of these lawyers be playing games for real. I mean, I done seen some real games that some lawyers have played, wagering things on behalf of their clients and not eat. Come on now, how do you do that? And how does that stand up in the court of law? I just don't understand how somebody don't have rights for their own case to decide because they the client. Like I just can't wrap my head around that one.
Yeah, I'm surprised that, like, I know one of my cases I have now, and I look at his jail costs listen to his jail costs from 2007, and how all the way up until the day before his scheduled trial, which got postponed, he was asking for his discovery. His lawyer never came to get him. It's like came to see him. So you don't even know the strategy. You don't even know why you're in here. You just know you're in here for murder, but you don't know who is saying you did it. You don't know what evidence they're alleging they have. You don't know anything. And you cannot properly put on a case without you working collaborative with your client. They know more about their neighborhoods. They know more about the people. They know more about the area. They can tell you. I mean, I heard them on there like, it was a store on the corner. He can go there and go get the videotape. Never went and got the tape back then. So, of course, there's no tape now to show that, he was not there. That was actually a camera facing the house. Just so many different things that he wanted to talk to his lawyer about and wasn't able to do that. And I believe his first appeal, he may have done ineffective assistance of counsel. And those aren't the easiest to win on the Court of Appeals. And so it didn't go anywhere, even though he had it. And it's even more egregious because this attorney actually asked the court for an investigator and got an order for a paid investigator and investigated nothing. I'm like, how is that not like, clearly his strategy was not to do nothing because he went and got an investigator and that was paid. That would have been paid for by the county. And so it's just not much you can do. And that was part of it too. When we talked about with the prosecutors with absolute immunity, it's the same thing. When I had the discussion with some of our appellate judicial at a conference that we had a couple of weeks ago, And they're like, well, what is the consequence? It really is no consequence for any attorneys, except for perhaps, I know in one of my cases, they complained to the bar and then they just agreed to a consent to be suspended for a week, and then they move on to the next, move on to the next client. It's not really much, and it's too many people out there, too many attorneys that probably should not be. That's what I learned. Like, when you are doing criminal defense work, it's somebody's life, and that's how you have to look at it. That's why I had to get out of the trial portion of it, because I could not sleep. If I had those type of cases and you're out on bond, I'm really like, all of us could walk in here and only I could leave. It could be a position when we get done with trial, I'm the only one guaranteed to walk out of here, because I don't know what the jury's gonna, what they're gonna say. So that alone should keep you up at night. But apparently there are attorneys that it doesn't bother them. This is just a job. And I don't know how they do it, but they do.
I know we were been, as you know, fighting for Crystal, right? And we talked to her attorneys on a regular about Crystal. It's not, we was told that she had the best civil rights attorney in Michigan, right? She had the best civil rights attorney in Michigan, and her attorney don't even know what's going on. She don't even know.
You're talking, okay, so she has a federal civil case. I think she has I think Marco is on that case. Isn't he on that case? It's a class action with two or three different inmates that's on that case. Mm-hmm. Is that the case you're talking about, Jayla?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so, I've read that case as well.
Supposedly, she has the best civil rights attorney in Michigan, but she's still walking around there. They won't let her see the specialist. They took her walker and wheelchair away, so she got to hug the walls to get anywhere around here. Like, if you have the best civil rights attorney in Michigan and they're not showing up for you, they're not, and your civil rights is just, or do you have any civil rights once you're in the slave camp? Like, I don't know, what the heck? And then when I'm telling her about it, she looks at me like a deer in headlights and say, oh, okay, thank you.
Civil rights, inside the institutions, some of the most egregious things that probably take place in the country is the people, once they're incarcerated, dealing with medical care. That's for one, right? You can smell black mold. Absolutely, you can smell black mold. And when we in the institution, Marcus, for a fact, we done been in institutions where, so now let's get to cases like Crystal. When it's coming out your ears, when it's coming out your nose, right? So we all say this is a atrocity, that something like this is taking place, right? Because we see the extreme and extreme, because we actually know Crystal. What about the people that's damaged in that mannerism, male or female, that we don't know? Ones that the word just, they don't have a voice or of the voiceless to be able to get up and get out and get active and fight. And them is the ones that the institution know. So they try to cover up Crystal because they covering up for the other situations that's taking place inside of the institutions. Many of us know a gentleman who they say was exonerated, but they don't give him nothing. He don't get nothing. No type of nothing. I'm talking about no type of nothing for nothing leaves nothing. And he had surgery while he was in the institutions, and they took out pieces of him that wasn't why they was going in him for. And then once he got out, they say, oh yeah, we got to remove this thyroid. No, they took my thyroid out inside of the institution before they found out that I was innocent. So I'm saying that to say that him, Crystal, Wayne Duff, Robert Partee, all these people that's suffering inside of these institutions by the medical system. I mean, you get older, things happen to you. You begin to break down, right? We out in society. We know that it happened. But there's no safeguard that causes a person not to die in prison for a crime they didn't commit. Because ultimately, if some of these people was innocent and they gonna die a horrible, horrible death, then you start mold. I got asthma in prison. I was healthy as a horse. But based on the conditions, the breathing, it began to give me asthma. And once I came home, it changed my whole breathing system because I was used to breathing concrete walls and not society air. And I'm not the only person affected in that mannerism. I'm just speaking on it. And there's so many of us, but we leaving our government, our agencies. They know that Crystal exists, yet and still they leave her to suffer day in and day out. And then they tell us, you got the best. You got the best. Well, shoot, it don't seem like the best good enough if you just drop dead under the circumstances while the best still saying hi and the system saying no. So us as a collective, I'm with y'all. If y'all think it's wrong, I dang on sure think it's wrong. And then y'all continue to stand on it, I'm going to continue to stand on it with y'all. Because the medically frail, this system, they said we don't got nowhere to house them. All right, so we're going to leave them to die in prison while we're going to take their last breath and their last dollar. It's just stuff to think about, y'all.
I agree. Thank you for saying that. I really do feel like that's a big issue with Crystal's case, is that if they set precedents on letting her out and give and her getting some sort of restitution, then they got to look at all these other cases. You know, 'cause, I mean, and we've seen that happen in New Orleans when because the I probably said it wrong. I think it's a prosecutor. He wanted to do right. He's like, okay, we're gonna see all of the times the prosecutor lied and everything, and then we'll, do a class action or do some sort of restitution, like trying to be a good guy. They came back within a month and had over 60 cases. They're like, we can't afford $1 million for 60 people. So they just broke the whole investigation, just broke it all the way through. At the end of I mean, this is long. This is the American way. At the end of the Civil War, there were, a little afterward, there were slave owners that kept slaves after they knew they weren't supposed to. And there were courthouse proceedings. Somehow, within 2 years, there were 22 courthouse burnings. Like the whole courthouse just burst up in flames, right? So then they couldn't have any restitution. And then in the 30s, in the South, there were streams. And then again, after in the 50s, there were courthouse burnings in the South. But I don't know about Michigan. But so there's this idea of we just gonna get rid of it. And so it harkened to what Attorney Pamela was saying about how, these files were missing. And I think wasn't it like 20 years ago when they found all those rape cases that were just in a big house, and they were having people do rape tests and all that in Detroit, and they just was sitting there for years. They had 20 years worth of rape cases, women thinking they going to get some sort of going through the motions of getting rape kits, and they just sitting there. And yeah.
Hold it. Hey, why y'all thinking? Now you said something that was really like when that moment in time happened, it propelled our current prosecutor in Wayne County to another level. She went to the public. She went to the Whoopi Goldberg and the morning shows and asked for resources, financial resources, in order to get these kids tested. If you can go through these type of measures in order to get those kids tested, I'm cool. You don't hear me putting up no argument, right? What I'm saying is why you ain't go out and ask for those type of resources in order to free some of these innocent people that's down there. Like, I wasn't the only victim of the ring of snitches. The other 3 guys that they let go with me, they wasn't the only victim of the ring of snitches, where they was using prosecutors and police was using jailhouse informants, people who had no proper information concerning us, to testify against us, to put us away for crimes we didn't commit. But we not the only ones. So when you start saying Reverend Kenlock, he pushing Mike Dugan, because I read that in the notes, and these people, they need a history lesson on these people of what they've been doing, these atrocities, and the way that they got into the positions where they stepped on people. They stepped on people, and it was like, and a lot of people just overlook it. So it's like, what do we do that's not so extreme that it causes us to go to prison, but the people know that, hey, it's some things going on. And that's my grandfather been in there for 44 years. I don't feel good with that. Or glorification for some of these young people, because that's what ended up happening. The culture of prison is horrible. Agreed. But a lot of these young people, they taught that, hey, it's all right. It's a rite of passage that you go through this experience. So you can do that to dog. You can whack him. You can smoke him. You can smack him. Whatever terms that they use, you can do anything but love on him. Why? Because you're going to be accepted inside the institutions and you're going to be the man. When we all know that you ain't not going to be happy inside of the institutions because you really not going to be the man.
And it's a twofold. It was one that you was talking about, Larry, and there's one that Ms. Leslie was talking about. But so I'm gonna start backwards. Would you say it was? I forgot how many people still kept slaves back when the 13th Amendment first came about, or whatever the case may be.
I don't know how many, but there were 22 courthouse burnings. So whole courthouse, 22 full courthouse burnings with stacks of folks that should have got some sort of restitution.
And the only reason they burnt down those courthouses is because those slave owners didn't have the money and the system put together so they can actually convict these people of a crime to put them back in slavery. Because 13th Amendment never abolished slavery. It only legalized it if you can convict them of a crime. So that was the part they didn't buy into it. You don't come down here in the South and tell us how to run our side of the country. So when they legalized slavery and say, okay, we abolishing slavery and involuntary servitude except for punishment for a crime. Now we're talking about black codes, Jim Crow, you know what I'm saying, war on drugs, the classroom to prison pipeline with the 1994 crime bill. So back then, the ones who kept the slaves didn't want to get with that system that they created to continue slavery. Meanwhile, prisons is popping up all over the country for labor. And so slavery was never ended. They just didn't want to get with that new system of slavery. It just morphed into prison and now CPS and things like that. But you had said something, Brother Larry, that caught my attention. I'm trying to go back to it, man. I just lost my train of thought. I'm gonna come back to it. It was I'll come back to it. I had a brain fart now, but you threw my antennas up.
Miss Pam, when Miss Pam made a statement concerning the laws, right? Each of us, the laws and changing the laws. One of the laws, probably the first law we should attack, is what they call the Anti-Effective Death Penalty Act. Because the Anti-Effective Death Penalty Act, which allowed for a lot of the stuff to take place on the state level, even with the 6,500 motions. Once you start talking about finalizing these appeals, once you start talking about tollers and time limits, so now you're not talking about innocence or guilt, you're talking about time limits. So if you're a person who don't read well for maybe 15 years, and then on the 15th and first day you learn how to read, and you found out that 14 years ago you missed your opportunity because you had a time limit. A lot of that's taking place allows it to dwindle down and then sweep us up under the rug. As a whole, in a country, if a person don't get a fair shot, fair only apply when it comes to you and yours. Because when it comes to somebody else, it's like, well, I might have to do that same thing to get by, right? Because a lot of people, for them and theirs, they'll do for theirs what they won't do for themselves. And this is a situation where when you do that, it end up smacking one of your family members, smacking one of your friends, smacking one of your colleagues, and creating a condition that's just keep on. So that's why I say, if we're going to change the laws, then we need to be stumping down and stepping on the ones that's really got us in that way bad. Anytime you got a rule that say, legalized slavery, it don't say you got to commit a crime. It say you got to be duly convicted. Duly convicted. Now, if y'all look that up, that don't mean you had to do nothing wrong. All it had to do was somebody said it, and you was found guilty of it, rather. And that's what happened to me. So I think that's something that we should work to repeal as a collective.
Did you think of what you wanted to say, Marcus?
Yeah, it was back. It was just a thought that came to me, and it's pertaining to the reason I have a self-interest in it, self amongst others, because it relates to the Crystal situation. I remember when I wrote my attorney and asked him, why would you go behind my back and rescind my my Frank's hearing motion without my request, is because of you that I'm sitting here right now in prison. And I forgot, he said something that didn't make any sense. He said I gave you the best whatever, and quoted something out of Strickland versus Washington. I forgot what it said. The best, when the lawyer supposed to made his best case or whatever the case may be. It didn't make any sense. So I took that and sent it to I had one all the way up to 6,500. I think that's when you told me about newly discovered evidence when we was on the Kinross yard. I think it was the Grissom case you had gave me. And then I'm like, so I got enlightened, like, this newly presented newly discovered evidence. So I took what the lawyer said. I took the news clippings when they was talking about my case and the cop being fired, and I submitted it. But before all that, even the courts told me, before I ended up doing a 6,500 motion as a result of that, 6508D3, right? Ineffective assistance of counsel. But I remember that originally I write the courts and they said they cannot take a pleading from me because I have an attorney. In the Crystal case right now, while she is suffering, while the Department of Corrections is killing her, and they plainly see that they killing her, they using court rules to keep her boxed out of obtaining her freedom. And I say that, and I'm gonna land my plane. When I went to Ghana and I went to the slave dungeons, I remember going to which Trisha, you're gonna be over there and you're gonna cry too. But I remember they taught us in school about the slave dungeons in Cape Coast and said it was a castle. And that's what they taught us in school. So when you go over there, you realize that there's a huge wall built around this slave space, right? So you can't see what's going on in there. So we went in there, and then you see all the slave dungeons. You see it say women on one side, women slaves, male slaves. Then it had the Catholic Church sitting on top of the women slaves, the part where where they have the slave people, oppressors and whatever they call themselves, where they was raping the women, and the church and the Red Cross was making sure they was good, if that makes sense. But the biggest point is they built that wall so you couldn't see what was going on in there. In America, through innovation, they built a new wall called policy. So they built policy and court rules. So through court rules, they made it to where if you are an innocent man or innocent woman and you are incarcerated, if you don't follow this particular court rule, we don't give a fuck if you innocent or not. If you don't get this pleading filed on time, you can spend the rest of your life enslaved, no matter if you are innocent. If you have an attorney and he purposely not representing you and he's intentionally throwing your case, they will not take a pleading from you because they cannot talk to you because you're represented by an attorney. But they want you as an individual. They want somebody like Crystal, who as an individual, to know how to navigate and box against these lawyers and box against this system that has 30 lawyers representing them in the Attorney General's office who've made a career out of keeping people incarcerated or fighting litigation, and she has to learn it in 52 days. So you're already coming at a disadvantage. And that is how policy and court rules keep people enslaved, right? It keep you boxed in to the point where you're absolutely helpless. When we have a woman that's dying right now, like literally dying, and it baffles me that they can see stuff growing out of her ears. They can see a doctor note that says she needs this surgery, but if we had a surgery, the Department of Corrections don't have the means to be able to care for her, so she's going to die immediately when she get there because they don't have they have all these documents to prove why they should at least give her a medically frail release or whatever so that she can get out and live. But when you're talking about, and I always go back to the legalized slavery, they only look at you as property. So they don't even look at you as deserving of humanity. And that is the issue that we're really fighting. But in the Crystal case, the only thing that she could possibly do as a Hail Mary at this point is fire these fake ass, excuse my language, y'all. I don't got it in my, but fire these quote unquote absolute great civil rights attorneys that they claim to be, you know what I'm saying? Because they own, because at the end of the day, they have their own agenda, because it can't be an agenda about her because they threw other people on there that had nothing to do with that, and they're not even trying to get them justice. Me, she needs
Can I say something before anybody say anything? Let me say something. Today, Crystal Mama had enough, and everybody got fired.
Now we start the process of raising money for some legal representation.
Yes, her mother fired. Her mother said, "How do she have the greatest, the most bestest attorney in Michigan?" And I walk in here and see my daughter swole up, barely can move. I walk in here and see my daughter in this condition. I can't even uplift her because I'm crying. Her mother went off to these last 2 days, and everybody been fired. She said, "Don't take her name off these lawsuits, take her name off of all this stuff, because this is not helping her. You've been on this lawsuit since 2019, but her attorney has been on it since when she first got sick, and nobody has done anything." She said us advocating for her has got more attention than any of them doing. Crystal, if she hadn't been advocating for herself all this time, we wouldn't even know her today if she depended on it. She set the stage and started speaking on herself. And even though they was calling crazy, even though they was calling her a drama queen, even though they was had all these narratives about her, she still went on that prison radio and made audios about the conditions inside. If you go to prison radio, you'll see 60 or more audio clips of her talking about Huron Valley. And because of that, that was what made their case. They just ruled that a couple of months ago when they had a win. It was because of all the grievances and stuff that she had been writing that pretty much going to help a lot of people that's in prison right now in Michigan. But meanwhile, she's deteriorating. She called on Saturday, and the nurse put behind her ear and just saw how the mole now is growing behind her ears. It's literally eating her alive. And you want to tell her mother, we're going to have a meeting next week. I'm just going to tell you from a mother whose son went to prison for something he didn't do, with a medical record, with a history of Crohn's disease, that had to take infusions once every month, and how much these infusions cost. Immediately, Michigan Department of Corrections said, "Hey, we lost his medical records." Came in with him. What are you talking about? Guess what? He go to Henry Ford. Henry Ford is out there where they was taking him to. You put his name in the computer, everything that happened, he been going through for years, is all gonna pull up. But they was trying to give him Tums for instead of giving him the infusion. If I didn't fight every day, if I didn't call every day, if I didn't have doctors to write letters and push this through to help him, if I didn't reach out to Rashida Tlaib, he probably would have died in there, because they was going to give him Tums instead of giving him the infusion. So when they get on these videos and these meetings and these courtroom public proceedings and talk about we have the best health care, we're doing the best, whatever they're saying, it's a lie. Especially when you got somebody that's walking around here that they done took out their whole wrong body part. And then you can get and testify and say, hey, we got the best healthcare. We give everybody the best healthcare.
All right.
Are you kidding me?
All phase live.
My son is part of the mental health community, and so he has, a strict regimen, and so I had to fight there. And so they said they would have a specialist look at him. And so they sent over a packet, and I looked through the packet, and you can see the time that they start evaluation and end evaluation. It's an evaluation that took 3 months to get, and it started at 11:03, and the evaluation ended at 11:05. They took that specialist 2-minute evaluation and wouldn't not look at almost a decade of paperwork and medical records. And he had a break in prison and end up getting into trouble, and they wanted to change his whole assignment and everything, and I was like, no, he's not. You didn't give him what he needs. It's just like having diabetes medicine or anything else. So anyways, I hear you.
I'm gonna tell y'all a quick story real quick. I was in prison for a long time, and a lot of people who was like, I met a lot of people who we probably know, like a guy. Y'all remember Jack Kevorkian, Dr. Jack Kevorkian?
Mm-hmm.
When Jack used to go to healthcare, Jack had a copy of his whole file, y'all. I'm talking about, they put me out of healthcare. My man file was like this. He got a copy of his whole file, 5X coat on. He weighed about 119 pounds with a 5X coat on, carrying his file over to healthcare. But they was taking him serious because he knew the language. And Jack would end up getting out of prison. Why? For some type of medical parole. And he ended up living for some time after that. But why my people not entitled to the same thing as another class of people? He didn't feel that he was like me. I watched that man put a bulb on the top of a Christmas tree. I was mad as hell I didn't have a camera to take a picture of that. Because he said he was not a prisoner. He wasn't like me. Well, I was innocent of a crime, and he was saying he was innocent of a crime. But nevertheless, they gave him something that I don't see them handing out many people like of my culture. They say he was medically frail. I know some people medically frail. Wayne Dub, 164498. That's his prison number. 3 bouts of cancer he been fighting off, 40 years. He ain't got about 3 major misconduct tickets in like 40 years. Crystal, she needs somewhere to stay. I got somewhere she can stay. I'm pretty sure we can get her some type of medical attention to come to there to make sure that she all right. Because e-incarceration, y'all, is the new wave. Look how many people on GPS tethers. That's called e-incarceration. So you can't tell me that for people with bad situations that's sick inside of institutions is not something out here for them. We offer him. That's why we arguing for Crystal, because we all care enough to make sure that at least she, because she's not the only one, the word get out, and then she can come out here and get some attention, and she can have somewhere to stay. We all agreeing, like we with that. We just need the governor to agree, right? So we all here compassionately asking for Crystal's release. Some of us probably demanding, but to more humble myself, could you please, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, release Crystal? She dying from mold inside out. You can prove it. Go see her. Go visit her. Put your big girl pants on and then go inside the institution and look this lady in her eyes and tell her that you're comfortable with the conditions in which way she's dying in prison. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, please, I'm asking you, please, could you please go do that? Take that on your own accord. Governor Gretchen Whitmer, whoever her friend, share it with her, and then maybe she'll go in there and see what it is that we crying for. What's painting us, her family, and that people watching inside of there. They don't got no hope because they watching this lady dying, knowing that could be them.
Yeah. And maybe they paint the mold, get up and have them get up at 3 o'clock and paint the mold before you paint on top of the mold before you get there.
Yeah, that's what they used to do when I was there. They had shut down a unit, paint it, and then put people right back in the unit. That's what they would do. So it's not far-fetched. It's not. I just wanted to put it on the table that all of us, we on here and we humbly request that Governor Gretchen Whitmer and the rest of her people release her into medical attention. Give her a fair shot. Give her a fair shot. That's all I can ask
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
Let's hear from Crystal.
Are you going to play that, Jay?
Yeah, I'm going to play it now. Larry done set the stage for it.
I just want to say before you play that, Crystal had this great civil rights attorney, right? Who also is the president of a human rights coalition. She never brought Crystal's case before the coalition one time. Never. How in the world do you have her best interest at heart? Now we sitting on this coalition, and me and Jay like Crystal. And then she like, oh my goodness, you know, Crystal. Ma'am, you should be making sure everybody knows Crystal. So I am so grateful for this day where now maybe Crystal can finally get some help and get the help that she needs. And woe unto that coalition group for not being boots on the ground for Crystal Clark. But that's all right, because we're going to stay boots on the ground for her.
Totally lying. I never, because I was calling my phone, I was having a conversation about my health and about what's going on in here. Like, and I told her, she said, who you talking to? I said, I was talking to Lance. And she's like, I don't give a care about no Lance. They don't scare me. I don't care about them. I don't have to tell you who I'm talking to on no phone. And that's good to know that people that's over y'all don't care about. Y'all always throw about we can call whoever, they don't scare y'all. This is wrong what they are doing to me. This is totally wrong. It's all on the phone call. How she coming after me on my phone call for no reason. And tell my the base is right here next to our phone. So you're going to hear us a little bit. But I was not loud for you to come and tell me to hang up my phone call and lock up and cool down. What is wrong with these people? Yeah, she going to tell me to lock up. I said I wasn't loud. She going to say, well, lock up and hang up that phone call to take a cool down. I said, for what? That wasn't me. I wasn't loud having a conversation with my phone call. No, she knows she walking past doing her round, so of course you're going to hear my conversation. Because you're doing your round, and the desk is right here. You heard me saying how the air and that y'all had the air, they did. They had the air blasting yesterday. They had the air on. They know what they are doing. They trying to cover it up. It's no cover up when this stuff is still growing and coming all out the walls and these showers and going out our vents. Like, I'm tired of feeling like this. I'm tired of feeling like this. My whole throat, I feel like it's closing. No one is doing anything. Cream, you giving me some cream? No, I should be seeing a doctor. I should be in a hospital right now. I should be getting IV pills, treatment, not no cream. It's not going to help this. This is, I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it. Anything I do, I'm being harassed. As you can see, you was on the phone talking to you. Like, this is crazy. So imagine when I'm not talking to you, what they are doing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Just tired. Like, I'm tired. Just tired. This is my body. You cannot tell me what to say. You can't make it seem like it's all in my head when y'all got proof. They didn't even have to take these paperwork. They been had proof. They been
Mm-hmm.
knowing what was going on. It ain't no. Let's not say, oh, they got proof now. They been had proof. They been knowing what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
It should not took no 15 years. And then on top of that, it's 15 years. And what they doing? Still covering it up. Still neglecting me. Still retaliating. What is going to happen? What is going to happen? I'm going to fall out and die like this lady just did a couple weeks ago, begging for help, chest pain, took her to the hospital, sent her back, died again, another one. What is it going to take? Why is everybody saying they got to look into this and look into that? Y'all know what's going on. This prison, this is not the first time this prison been talked about. This prison been on the news years ago. Y'all know what's going on. Why y'all not taking action? Why it got to be so many people losing their life? Why? Why it got to be too many people losing their life? It's too many. One is too many. Like, this is crazy. And then they covering it up and keeping it a secret. No. My body is in so much pain. And I got to deal with it every day. Every day. And then want to give me some psych meds. You can get all pain medication. And all pain, you going to try to give me something that can make me like I'm crazy and walk around here like a zombie? When you got other options, this is what they do to me? No. Not all in my head. It's all in their head. They is the craziest one. And everybody who believe it and is going along with them, it's a shame. This is a shame on y'all. It's my life. And I'm tired of saying it over and over. That is changing. It's getting bad. My skin changing. Like, I don't even look the same. Everybody keep on asking me every day, and it's like, we worried about you. Why your face like looking like that? Why you changing? Like, people was walking up telling me this. I know. I feel it. I see it. It's my body. I can't get help. I can't get medical. They not helping me. Officers call over there telling them not to see me. Nothing is wrong. What more? What's going on? I'm telling y'all, I'm just praying that this don't be too late. This don't be too late so they can help me. They can help me, man. Let's get that. Where is the dates and times that y'all see me? And when was this recently? What's the dates and times y'all saying y'all see me running, walking without my walker, carrying my walker? What's the dates and times of this? Did you do it when it happened? Because you know it didn't happen. You're doing anything to make me suffer because I'm speaking out. And the people who I'm telling and speaking out to, yeah, they looking into everything. But the thing is, it should be something could be done now. It's been 15 years. This should be done now. No disrespect. I'm not trying to be mean or nothing, but something should be done now. This could be any of us, it's me. I ain't gonna say us. It's me already, but it could be y'all, families, you. It could be anybody. It's in the back of my ear. It's just in it. You could feel it. Just imagine you feeling something just in your body. In it. You could smell it. It's just in it. Oh, man. What more to say? What more can you say when you're seeing it? You've been telling them for years. You've been telling the world. You've been telling people. You've been telling Lansing. You've rolled thousands of people. Turner Affairs. Everyone. It ain't nobody that I haven't rolled. What more? The ombudsman. Everybody. Ben knew about this. I'm sorry to say, Ben knew about this. It shouldn't have took this long. It should have happened when y'all came and saw me when I kept on telling y'all something is wrong. And now look what's being done. It's still being covered up. Still being swept up under the rug. Now taking more stuff. You came up and see me, now more stuff being taken. Ain't nothing being done to these people. Shame. It's a shame. It's a shame.
I just want to know one thing, right? Like, you know, my brother Larry said that he humbly acts, right? And you know, I don't know no other way to say get your knee off my neck. I don't know any other way to say you're killing her. Stop. Do something. And then when we say it, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. What are you talking about? We're talking about a human life that you know for the last 15 years has been suffering. And with a stroke of a pen, you could let her out, Gretchen. So I'm not humbly asking. As a matter of fact, I'm asking that God disturb your sleep. Why you get to sleep at night? We can't sleep at night. We can't sleep. I can't sleep effectively knowing what she's going through. Why you get to sleep at night? They need to do something. But here's the thing. Nobody wants to mess up their agenda. Nobody wants to interrupt their own agenda, elected officials. Because you know the beast that we're going up to. And we learned the other day, there's no power over them. Of course they can say, who gives a F if you're talking to Lansing? That's why they said that. Because they know that nobody is over them. But I know somebody that's over us all. And that is who has given us the strength to continue to fight. And we will not stop. When Crystal said, keep moving, in spite of the if Crystal can suffer the retaliation, then we can suffer whatever we're going through out here so that we can continue to push for her life, man. I'm asking everybody, anybody that is listening to this, watching this, please do something. Your voice on Crystal's behalf, and not just Crystal, like Larry said, all the other women. Your voice is so important to reach out and let, why she keep wanting to talk about Big Gretch this and Big Gretch that. Well, come on, Big Gretch. Let's get some relief for Crystal Denise Clark, 435064. She's more than a number. She's a human being. She's my sister. Not biologically, but she's my sister. And she's yours too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she say, fix the damn roads, fix the damn prison.
I mean, realistically, y'all, right? Fix the damn prison might not be her stroke for her lifetime. But what she can do is she can work to change the conditions with the stroke of a pen. Like for Crystal and some other medically frail people that's on her desk. Some other people that's over sentence. It's just like, we know you're not gonna be around long enough, and we know it's a bunch of other weirdos. Got to be honest, they leave innocent people in prison for crimes they ain't commit. To me, that's a weirdo. So it's other people that's fighting to take the office. So when you're gonna relinquish the office, why don't you do something great with your moment? And that greatness of your moment would be to free somebody like Crystal. Come on now, free Wayne Duck. I won't stop. I'm not gonna stop calling these people by name and calling you out. And Eli Savage, man, why would we vote for you and you leaving the VC brothers in? No. Don't seem good, y'all. It just don't seem good. So
he's looking into it.
huh?
He ain't
What?
finished the job he started here in Washtenaw County yet. But when he finished the job he started here in Washtenaw County, then maybe we will consider him for an advancement. But right now, that's a no. The community respects that. And that's not survivor speak. That's Trisha Duckworth, the constituent that is not going to be voting for Savage.
Isn't he running for Attorney General?
Yes.
And lied about it for 2 years, though. I never said I was going to run.
I mean, maybe he feel that he can make a difference by running for AG because that's what he said. I read it. They sent it to my phone. You got to remember, I'm a person who supported Eli Savage because I believe that his intent was to do right by the wrongfully convicted. So he created a conviction integrity unit, which my company, we still buy. Other exonerees, we still buy that because we saw, you could see it like it was all on their shirts, like all written that they wanted to help people like me. So now we got people like me, the VC brothers. You done spent over a couple $100,000 on allegedly investigating this. You have not released the information to U of M, which they can use to file the paperwork in order to free them. If you plan this as a pawn and you using it as a pawn to get to the next office, this the time. Like you should be pulling it out right now so that I can be like, yeah, man, he did what he said he was gonna do.
Yeah, because I mean, he's a nice guy.
It's coming.
That's a big deal.
It's coming, watch, because I believe that's coming. And as sick as it is that he would wait and use this to propel him ahead, which is exactly what he did in 2020 when he stood alongside us marching and talking about Black power. Nah, you really was marching and got over on Black pain. Now you took the office and the seat. Now you're ready to go to another seat. But I believe that he will do that. And if that's what we got to do to get them out of there, then fine. But it's real sick that he would leverage and play games with people's lives, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I have a question for Attorney Pam. Are you about I get could you give like a layperson's understanding of the difference between like compassionate release, medical clemency, like the different ways that we can advocate for Crystal's release?
So specific to Michigan, because you may be talking about federal, which a lot of people that got out for COVID, but specific to the Michigan statute, I think it was Gretchen Whitmer who actually did sign into. It's a medical type release, but the criteria is strict. So it's like you're really almost on hospital, like you're about to die is how it is. Like they'll let you out. And it has to be, and sometimes they'll put you in a medical facility or in a spot where, like Larry said, you get some type of tether. And actually, when you get better, or if you get better, they still have the option sometimes to put you back. Like it's stringent on how they do it. I don't know how. It'll be interesting to see how many people have been released on the statute, on the bill that she signed. But it's more so, I think a lot of people just don't fit into it. And so I think that's why why he advocates a lot for the medically frail, because the way that they have defined, it's literally almost like the doctor said you got 60 days. Like it's really just that you and so you just don't die in prison. Is almost how it happens.
Well, that's like a little fluff. It's a little fluff type of situation.
But see, when I testified,
did something, but I didn't do nothing.
Pretty much.
I testified for the bill, for that 599 bill, for the medically frail bill. And when they voted, a lot of people don't realize, one of the people, if they paid, I was talking about a guy named Wayne Duff. No, 1644-98. Also, one of the guys who died, when I came out, I spoke on television about a Garwood Turner. He served 47 years on a second-degree life. And when they was calling him to go, for him to sign his paperwork to go see the parole board, they had just told us a few minutes before that he had died in the hospital from complications from COVID. So the thing with this stuff is, you start talking about statutes and laws and not humanity and health. Statutes and laws say that this is what we're gonna do, and then if we deviate from the contract, we're gonna let you go early. And the people with the authority to deviate from the contract is people like Gretchen Whitmore, right? When it comes to people dying in prison for crimes that they didn't commit, I don't know. Like, I don't really know how it works, y'all. I don't know how you create a safeguard, but I know this. If people in institutions is doing their best with what they got to get what they want, and that's their freedom, and people is getting out here after they do that, and they showing people like me that a second opportunity for me was this was my first opportunity at life, because I went to prison at 18 years old. But if they showing that at 65 years old or 70 years old, they didn't help people like me and other people like Kelly and other people that was down bad. What's to say them people don't deserve the chance? And it's just like, with me, y'all, I'll be with y'all. I'm willing to fight and stand tall for people who willing to stand and fight tall for themselves. Crystal showed us that she will fight and stand tall for herself. So we all stepping up to fight with her. But like I keep saying, there's people whose names that we don't know nothing about that's going through the same thing. And it's sad that if Crystal got to sign off from that lawsuit in order to get her freedom, if she got to sign off and fighting with her fellow community about the atrocities taking place in their living conditions, to me, that's even worse. It show you how bad the system is.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I just don't believe in the system like I did. They let me go. They let me free, but they ain't never apologized to me. So it don't make me think that they care about me. They figure out ways to sweep me up under the rug, the same way they figure out the ways to sweep guys like Michael Lawson up under the rug, and people just like her up under the rug. People like Tamara Washington up under the rug. So I don't know what exactly we is supposed to do, but I really appreciate, I'm ingratiated to you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of some of those people that we left behind and that's suffering, like Crystal, like Wayne Duff, like William Watley. And I thank you guys for that so much.
Thank you.
I thank you, Larry, for all that you do, because you do a lot for somebody who just came home a few years ago. You wearing people's names on your back literally on your back every day, and so we really appreciate you and Attorney Pam, because there's not a lot of people that's really willing, and we watched it in real time, that's willing to stand up behind people, especially innocent people. Crystal is wrongly convicted. We so busy fighting for her to get out of there to see a doctor, then we can't even talk about her wrongful conviction. So I just really appreciate you both, and all that you guys are doing to stand up for those that's wrongly convicted.
And we have to shout out all the exonerees as well, because no matter what we do, it's gonna be all of them. They show up like for everything. When we were in Ohio, it was a couple of them that showed up for our hearing. When today Searcy had some hearings, he's being retried, and so he had motions today. We packed out the courtroom for that. So it's like a community where we all know we have to cover and have each other's back at this point.
And we in Michigan talking, right? But across the country, y'all, e-incarceration people being released as saying that they wrongfully convicted, and then with the threats of being retried, y'all don't know. Like that turned into alcoholism. That turned into drug abuse. Anytime a person can be taken out of hell on earth, and then you take me out of hell on earth and you just say, I got this little pillow, this little cushion. I'm gonna give you a couple seconds so you can be on it. But I'm doing everything I can to put you back in hell on earth. How can anybody sleep?
And one thing, and if you recall, when Dana Nessel was running for office, you remember when she said, if you get your conviction overturned for a federal violation, that we won't be coming back after you?
Bro, time out for a minute. I'm glad you just said that. Hold on, y'all. Dana Nessel, man. Dana Nessel got to be one of the worst politicians ever made, because let me say it in this regard, y'all. She changed the rule against Kensu. If Larry Darnell Smith Jr., if Kensu would have got out before me, how can I say it in a way? They changed the rule. When they first came out, the standard was that they could go back and they could look at the evidence de novo. They could look at it on their own account. They could take this whole case and they could research it, right? Take the evidence as a collective. But with the Kensu case, they turned it over to a special prosecutor who was Valerie Newman. And then when Valerie Newman made her ruling, she said that it wasn't newly discovered evidence based on the criteria of the Attorney General. The Attorney General changed the criteria. She changed the criteria. That's just the reality of it. And they did it to do that to that man. And I just don't think that that's appropriate. Dana Nessel, I told you in person, I'll tell you again in front of the whole wide world, that was very, very, very wicked to change the rule, fit the nature of yourself, to put that man and keep that man in prison for a crime he didn't commit. And if we get the two y'all and we sit them next to each other right now, they clearly changed it. And they changed it because newly discovered evidence, to me, y'all, like I'm just a layman. But if you got evidence that support that you innocent at any time, it should be good with me. But Miss Pam, you know what I know, because of stuff like the ADPA and those successive motions, because of coming from up there, it's difficult for a person to raise their claims. So how can the Conviction Integrity Unit not have the ability to look at all the evidence? Because if they didn't, they wouldn't have let me out of prison. So when it comes to Dana Nessel, you just as wrong as the governor. You can free him. Shame on you. Very much so.
At this point, Heidi Washington, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, AG Dana Nessel, and Kim Worthy, any of them women could single-handedly release her tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at least we all know, at least we inform the public. If nothing else, you guys, we can attest and we can account that we giving the public accurate information. And that's something that when I was inside the institutions, that was something that was difficult to come about. Accurate information. We didn't have support groups for the mothers. No, I'm thankful to every mom that came out and celebrated Mother's Day with us. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. Thank y'all, sisters, because it's y'all the backbone. Y'all really the backbone of the wrongful conviction culture.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got as far as I got if it wasn't for my mother, and then surrounding myself with brothers like you that stayed in the library that put me in.
Man, come on. You ain't got to tell the people though, man. I was in that mud trying to figure out how to get out. Whatever the rule was, if I needed to break it, I was willing to break it as long as I could get my freedom, because I ain't hurt nobody. I didn't do nothing to nobody to be in prison for a crime I didn't commit. Yeah. And it's a shame that people will be in a place in prison and have to commit more crimes in there than they ever committed in society. And then they hold it against you, come out, you got a ticket. What do a ticket mean to a person who innocent?
Yeah. Hey, listen, Jay. I'm me and his brother bonded over going to the library trying to fight for our freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was like
a group
we
did that. We did.
I remember being in the institution with Marvin Cotton. We was on the same floor. We was fighting. We had the same lawyer at the time, fighting for our freedom. And it's just like, just seeing you brothers out here right now, man, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it brings tears in my eyes. I remember we were fighting for our life.
I got you, bro. Here we go then. If that's the case, for every exoneree that's been exonerated out of Wayne County, for every exoneree who's been exonerated out of Wayne County, if you in your heart don't feel what's taking place with Crystal is appropriate, then you should be standing with us. Matter of fact, you should be hitting Trish Duckworth up. You should be hitting J Love up and letting those great people know that you are signing on with us to go against this system for what's taking place. If you spend time in prison for a crime you didn't commit, if you was exonerated, if you wasn't exonerated, but you know how it feel to have a bus put on your back, the tire on your neck, and if it roll over anymore, you're going to be dead. If you know how that feel, then please get in the mix with us to help to free this lady. It's too many names for me to count. They got a whole registration list. If you from Wayne County, if you, hold on, time out. If you from anywhere in the country,
yeah,
and you standing on that injustice is not the justice that we should have, if you standing on that, then you need to be standing with us, and y'all need to be standing with us to free Crystal and the other people that's, no, what? Let's just deal with Crystal. Let's just deal with Crystal. Y'all should come out and support with us. Any information y'all need, y'all contact J Love, y'all contact Trish, y'all know how to get in contact with me, and y'all help us to go at freeing her. Let's get the word to the governor that we serious about this and that our people shouldn't be dying from suffocation of mold contamination.
Amen.
I'm just saying, y'all, if you stand on it, if you was in the hallways, if you know what pain feel like, if you smell that smell, and you know the smell of that mold, then y'all should be standing. If you an exoneree, if you ain't been exonerated, if you're a returning citizen on any level and you wanted to strike out at the system for the pain that you suffered, you can take part in the process of freeing somebody. And that's what we after right now. So please stand tall with us and help us pursue freeing her. Outcome, free Crystal till we say Crystal is free.
Amen. Thank you, Larry.
Yes,
thank you.
Sound like a fundraising slogan to me right now.
Sound like an action. It sounds like people, if we take an action, we can get a result. And that's what I'm asking for, the action so that we can get the result.
They finally fired those attorneys now, so we can actually do something about it now. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna be in North Carolina all next week. No, in fact, we're gonna be in California. You going to California with us, Trish? I mean, yeah, Trisha.
Unfortunately, I could not afford my ticket, so I gotta sit this one out.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna be there all the way until next Saturday. How about reconvene and just kind of figure out a day to sit down and just start going through it now. We're gonna have to get straight to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with that.
I pulled some case laws up. I used some of the case laws that we used in my case too when I had sued the Department of Corrections.
And that new law that new ruling that judge just did about the what was it, Jay? Their grievance process. I believe that's really going to be major because, they always trying to say, oh, well, you got to do this and do that. And then before you do this, but no, judge already said them grievances go nowhere. So I feel like we should be able to just jump the line and go right to the suit.
And you can use any case. You can use Seeger Zill's case when you're talking about grievances. You can use my case.
Everybody with the lawsuit. The one thing I'm realizing is that where attorneys is concerned, a lot of them don't like going up against the DOC because the DOC got unlimited resources.
Yeah.
So it burdened down an attorney, and they just send them a lot of information to weigh them down. So I just want us to take that into consideration. As because the attorney might need other attorneys to step on in order to help. But we that's why we calling out to the public in the way in that we doing. Like if you an athlete, if you an entertainer, if you somebody who came out and you say that you support me and what I'm doing, then you see what I'm doing is bigger than me. You got other professionals who would not put their names, their credibilities, and their time on the line to be willing to support a fallacy. So that's why we calling y'all the way that we doing. I don't, what you do for a living, Donald Trump, dog, where you at? Where you at? You hit Gretch on the phone and tell him what's up with the lady with the mole dying in prison. You running for office in Michigan, you reaching out to us, asking us to support you. Let me see that text chain. Let me see that phone call. Let me see that email where you reaching out to Gretchen Whitmer and these other authority figures about what's taking place. Don't call on me asking me to do nothing. Don't call on me asking me for no favors. Don't call on me asking me, can I assist you? If you can't assist us right now to free a life, if you can't do that, no, I can't help you. Flat out. That's how we gonna do that. So my phone shouldn't be ringing too much, y'all, because the answer gonna be no if they ain't down with helping Crystal. Flat out.
Yes.
I mean that. Yeah. I'm standing on that.
Yeah, I'm standing with you.
I'm standing with you.
So we can share this. Y'all got all this live streamed onto y'all YouTube. We take all our streams and then we gonna put this in the hands of the people. And let's see how many people step up with us, y'all.
Yeah.
For real. Because everybody always talking about what can they do? What can I do? What can they do? What can I do? We got a mission for you to get on board with us and let's carry and step out together as a collective. If y'all willing to do that, we willing to accept y'all and we willing to roll out. So exoneree, actor, actress, musician, whatever it is that your calling is, doctor, whatever it is that you do, beggar, whatever it is that you do, then you step up and help fight with us. But if you don't do that, don't be calling over here begging, y'all. I'm telling you, no.
Larry has spoken.
Yep.
Larry
see where they see me pull up at. When I pull up for free and I don't charge y'all no money, and I research all these items and I do all this stuff for y'all, you be lawyers, you be whomever you be, you money people, whoever you are, family members, all y'all people alleging we friends who always saying, what can y'all do? We just told y'all what y'all can do. And we downtown June 22nd for Returning Citizen Day. June 22nd, Spirit Plaza, the second annual Returning Citizen Day. Down there, you will see a big sign of Crystal if she's not released. And if she is released, we'll have Crystal there. We'll have a station that you can get there and write it down to your local representative about what's taking place. We have attorney present for people who need to ask questions. Get records expunged of such. But again, if you out here asking for somebody else to do something for you, and you ain't willing to do something for somebody else, then when you get that no, don't be all mad and all sad and all pissed off. So we asking y'all to help us to help Crystal. That's how I'm gonna end. Free Wayne Duff, free William Watley, free Tamara Washington, free Crystal, and support your local community. Help your children, help their parent, help their mother, but help yourself. Get up, get out, get active, and go after yours. But don't do it in a mannerism where you hurt other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Attorney Pam. Thank you, Marcus and Leslie and Trisha. Trisha, this your time to shine.
Oh, where them pans at? They gonna be.
I'll be up there.
They're gonna be at Ypsilanti's 5th annual Juneteenth celebration, y'all. I'm just so excited. I mean, we first started this, we was just doing a mural unveiling. had no clue that God was going to do this and allow us to just move forward and celebrate like this every year. But Saturday, June the 21st from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Y'all do not want to miss it. We got our youth takeover starting at 11. The youth going to take the stage and rock it out, do their thing. Our official ceremony starts at 1. And we going all day. The headliner for today, you see her, Lady Sunshine, the Queen, and the X Band. We got some other amazing artists there as well, y'all. It's going to be a day. It's going to be an educational celebration because we're going to talk about Black hair. We're going to talk about wrongful convictions. We're going to talk about what mobilization looks like. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. We got vendors. We got the food court area. We going to have a good time on Saturday. And on Sunday, oh my goodness. Oh. This started as a dream and a vision that has come to pass. We are going to have Grammy Award winning gospel artist Fred Hammond. That's Sunday, June the 22nd. The concert is at 3 p.m. But today is actually going to start at 1 p.m. with our annual church service, right there on the site. That's at 1 p.m. with Pastor Daniel Jackson from Love Washington and Pastor Mike Robinson from Ypsilanti Community Church. Then at 3 p.m., the concert is going to start, man. We got local artists. We got artists come from out of Detroit, and we have the man himself. When I tell y'all this entire weekend is going to just be amazing. And stay tuned for a special announcement because on June the 20th, y'all need to know we having a freedom rally. And the location is going to be dropped real soon. So stay tuned. But Ypsilanti's annual Juneteenth celebration weekend is going down.
Say June 20th.
And speaking of Fred Hammond,
Ypsilanti, this is your man, Uncle Fred. Fred Hammond is in the building. Listen, I'm on the way. I'm coming. That's right. We on the way. Juneteenth weekend. We showing up. We're going to show on out. So come on out and hang out with your mans and them and many other people that's going to be there. And we just going to have an amazing time. Looking forward to coming back to the crib. That's right, because you know y'all were just up the road. I used to hang out in Ypsilanti a little bit here and there. And, you know, but listen, I look forward to seeing you all. Let's have a great time. Peace.
I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you.
And also, before we leave, we want to acknowledge Gerard. His birthday is Monday. And it's, you know, pulling at my heartstrings. But, yeah, we have a little tribute to Gerard. Yeah, happy birthday. So with that being said, you guys, we don't have anything else. Thank you again, Attorney Pam. Hope to see you again with us soon. We appreciate you. And I just want to say good night, everybody. See you next week on Turning the Moment into a Movement.
Hey, if anybody want a hat, I got this custom hat from Artie Money. Artie Money, he be standing on business. I like the hat. Y'all like the hat? Hey, entrepreneur. Hey, young people, let's support our young entrepreneurs. Seriously, everybody.
Yes.
Right? Because they could be out in the street doing some other things that we could be saying about. But a hat. All right, you guys. Much love, much respect for each one of you.
Much love.
See you all
Just a
too.
light of just a light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Just a light of mine. Just a light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine.
This
Little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Oh Lord, just let it shine. This light of mine, this light of mine. Oh Lord, would you please just let it shine. Take the drama out of my life. Oh Lord, every night the pain ain't right. I wake up at night, I never sleep. 26, 10, and 7, that's just me. Every day I need a little seed. I need a little fresh air, man. I need to breathe. All I know is trauma. All I know is tickets. All I know is no visit. All I know is a mission to get straight up out of prison. Lord have mercy for it. Lord have mercy on my people. Preacher Mary Washington and all my real. Lord have mercy with my people. I pray to God, we really need you. When I was down bad, when things weren't going right, every time I prayed at night, I put my hands up in my face. I said, Lord have mercy, little light of mine. Lord God, please let it shine. It's the drama that I live in my life. I swear to God, I was a bad guy every night. 10 toes down, salute. Everybody suffering, everybody who trying to make a way. Everybody looking for the sky, everybody looking for that piece of pie. In a law library, I know what that feel like. Hoping that somebody get active and involved in your situation. Man, pop your collar and pray. Cause Lord have mercy on my soul. And they make bad guy father get out soon. And the rest of those brothers who be mobbing to child each morning. Oh man, I ain't going to this afternoon. Man, I'ma miss dinner today. I got a couple noodles. Hey, you know what that feel like? Do you know what it is? And if you a victim of a wrongful conviction, suffered and served by Ken Worthy, then I know that you know what that pain feel like. And your mama know what that pain feel like. Your father know what that pain feel like. With that light, let that little shine. Let that light shine a little light of mine. Bad guy, doughboy, weak, all these great people in this great world of ours. 10 toes down, salute. I appreciate you, bad guy. I appreciate you, weak. I appreciate the tech. I appreciate everybody in the studio. We gonna pop off that LV. Ooh-wee. Cause that's what they be liking to see. But I hope you hear the missing when you see me fresh. Salute.
This